What is going on, everybody? We are the Savage Patriots. It's a
Hello.
Friday.
Friday.
Friday. Thank
Just
God
another
it's
day to me.
Friday.
My days just
It's
fold into each other. I just forget.
It's another
That's what you
day in the
call
end of the
old
world.
man syndrome.
No, that's called time is irrelevant syndrome.
I got Geritol for you. Some
I don't need it.
some Centrum,
I don't need it. You don't want
Me-
to complain about your shoulder and
some
stuff.
Metamucil. Anyway, we're going to talk about Chicago today. The mayor is just a actual male version of Beetlejuice, where she was trying to be a guy. He's actually a guy, but they're one and the same. They're not any different.
Does he have what? Is he with a white chick?
I don't.
Oh, probably. We might have to
Probably.
look that up.
Yeah.
Not that it matters to us.
Well, it
but-
does.
No, but
especially when you
it just
say
confirms.
certain
No,
things.
For him it'd matter because he's a hypocrite, probably
Yeah, of
most
course.
likely, and he probably talks all this
Right.
Black Lives Matter and marries outside his race. So
Yeah.
can't have it both ways, buddy.
It just confirms for us that he is what we always know him to be.
What he is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about what exactly is taking place down there in Chickadee-Chicago.
Chirac.
And, it's more than gunshots now. They add another element. It's like lasagna. Okay, they just keep adding layers.
The layer.
Just keep
Come on,
adding
man.
them layers, man. More layers.
But we'll talk about it right after we get back.
Hello.
Uh-oh.
Savage Pete.
Chicago. Let's have a discussion, Chicago.
TGIF. Happy New Moon.
In case people hadn't seen what's
Mm.
going on in Chicago, I'm sure most of you have, however, but in Chicago there is an influx of illegal immigration, and the mayor there had announced, just like the people in New York, this is a sanctuary city. Y'all can keep on coming.
Right.
To the tune of $29 million. But we'll get to that's a whole nother.
Well, and let's not forget too, Marlon, the citizens were just like, "Oh, hey, there we go. Yes, okay, we are a sanctuary city. Let's vote that."
And then they show up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you get surprised when they show up when you tell them you invite them into your house.
Yeah.
Right? Well, yeah, you can come over anytime, and then they show up, and then they're like, "You weren't supposed to come."
Too much. That is too many. 1, 2, 3, enough.
At least bring a plate of food. Jesus.
Yeah.
I think there are 3 phases to this, and I want you guys' input on this. I think there is a repercussion phase, which is what they're in now. And I think there is a retaliation phase, which is what they're in now. And I think there'll be a retroactive phase, which is what is coming.
Indeed.
They are in the throes right now of seeing their voting come to fruition. They wanted Democrat.
Right.
They got Democrat, and this is what Democrat does. Now, because they've done what they did, they're getting mad at the people they put in. And this is why I can't blame the mayor. I'm going to actually defend the mayor for a minute here.
What?
Yeah, I am. Here's why. He didn't lie about who he was.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
The people that should be blamed are the dummies that voted for him.
Mm-hmm.
I can't be mad at the mayor. I can't even be mad at Lightfoot.
That's true.
Throughout her entire thing, she kept telling you what she was gonna do, who she was, how she was. They kept telling you, and you still voted for him. And now that you see what the cause of your behavior brings, you get mad. You can't get mad. You have to be. This is where you own up and say, you know what, I really screwed up on that.
effed up.
I did it. That was on me. Now I gotta fix it. I'm sorry to tell you guys, yet a tad late, like a tad. So do you think their anger is going to get anywhere, guys?
No.
No.
We've been angry about Biden for almost a little over 3 years, and it's not getting us anywhere but worse. So they can get as mad as they want. They voted for it, and that old saying, you reap what you sow.
Mm-hmm.
You sowed what you reaped. So
Mhm.
you're getting exactly what you asked for, and you're not going to get any type of boo-hooing from this side because that's what you asked for. I didn't vote for it. I didn't vote for him. I didn't vote for any of these buffoons that you guys voted for. So,
and not only that, but we told you so for the last 4 years, and you still ignored it. So, at this point in time, I have no sympathy for people who made their decision, and now that they made their bed, and now they must lie in it.
Yep.
And here's the problem. I'm sorry. Here's the problem with like the left side of voting, especially in Chicago. Of course, we're talking Chicago. Let's use Chicago as an example. A person with a critical thinking mindset or has a logical way of thinking, before this guy ran, they would have been like, didn't we just have a Democrat as a mayor? Do you see all the chaos that's going on here? Maybe we have to change it up, man. Maybe we got to get this guy on the right to see what he does. But as we've talked about before in other episodes, it's the party line vote. There are some people, no matter what, it's party line. Boom. I'm Democrat. I'm voting Democrat. I don't care if Satan himself. That's what I'm voting in. Then when Satan burns everything down, you're crying about it. Well, that's what you voted for.
Yeah. They had a town hall kind of set up where they asked him some questions about a backdoor deal he did for $29 million with this firm to house and protect and to take care of the illegals coming into Chicago. And the answer that he gave them will shock you when you hear it. It shocked me, but it shocked me only because I couldn't believe he had the nuts to say it out loud and say it with a straight face, and people defend him saying it. That's what shocked me. So I'll let you hear it real quick. And I like this particular guy. If you know his channel, go check him out. Black Conservative Perspective, real cool guy. But listen carefully to this. I'm promising you, it's nonsense.
I'm doing my part to continue to make sure that Chicagoans who have been in this city, who have needed support, and particularly our Black families. I know there's been a tremendous burden, particularly on Black Chicago. I am fully aware of that. Y'all know where I live. Y'all know how many schools have been shut down in Austin, mental health clinics. Administration after administration has taken away from Black people, not mine. And I want to make this point very clear as well. We're trying to make sure that migrants are not on floors. So when individuals say that Black folks want what migrants want, it's not true. It's not. Black folks want what they deserve. And to compare the needs of Black people to individuals who are being forced out of their countries because of bad foreign policy, who are living on floors, comparing the conditions in which descendants of slaves have had to endure to migrants who are sleeping on floors, I question how much you actually care and love about Black people and understand their conditions.
Who's going to tell him? I'm just waiting. I'm waiting. Hang on. Now, I'm not one to herald the things of the past. You know that, right?
Yeah.
But who's going to tell him that slaves were in the bottom of ships? Who's going to tell him that they slept on the floors when they went back to their spots after the plantation day? Who's going to tell him that even after slavery ended, there were scores of Blacks still sleeping on the floor? Who's going to tell him that there are Black homeless people sleeping on the floor outside of buildings? Who's going to tell him that there are children who have no place to sleep that are Chicagoans? Who's going to tell him any of that while he's saying it's not the same thing? These migrants don't have beds. Nick, sorry. No,
just let the
that just came out.
Just let it out.
Don't do
like,
it.
come on, man. Like,
just have your moment. You know,
like,
you
really?
Don't do it.
Yeah.
No.
Are you for real right now? Like, okay, and are you for real? You telling me if I talk about that, I don't care about Black people? You just told Negroes to say, kick rocks. You ain't like the immigrants. You ain't sleeping on the floor. They are.
But this is what we've been talking about, and we've said it many, many times before. Like I keep saying, they're mocking us right there in front of our faces, man, and no one's checking him. His little aides, his little freaking clown show, and behind him, they're all edging him on. Yeah, that was a good speech. Yeah, you told it to him, and then the Black people watching him are just like, oh, he's such a good mayor.
You know what it reminds me of?
While you got the critical thinking Black person in the background going,
Huh?
wait a minute. But they don't want to hear that guy. They only want to hear the ones clapping for him and yeah, a good mayor. You know, he black, I'm rooting for him regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm black.
You-
I'm black.
th- what I was gonna say is, you know what it reminds me of is just, hey, black people, it isn't your turn. Shut up.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
Pretty
Just
much.
wait a minute. All right. Now these
Hold
other
on.
Africans that are coming over the border into Chicago need more help than you do. Okay,
Mhm.
these black folk need it more than you. All right.
Crazy.
All right. That's how he's going with. And this is a segment from Tucker. I wanted to kind of let people have an idea of what we're actually facing at the border. And it's not just Central American countries. It's countries from everywhere.
Nothing to speak of.
Blinders.
Like they just finished, like won a race, right? To the finish line.
Do they look like they're escaping hardship?
No, some of them look like they have, relatively decent Walmart clothes.
That's your country being invaded. It will never be the same. Republicans in Congress, the Republican governor of Texas, do nothing as this happens. Democrats cheer it on. They know that America will soon be a one-party state, and they'll be in charge. Immigration is the reason. Todd Bensman joins us now from the border. He's a longtime journalist and the author of the new book, Overrun, How Joe Biden Unleashed the Greatest Border Crisis in American History. Todd, thanks so much for joining us. Where are you?
I am in Piedras Negras, which is in Mexico, just across from Eagle Pass, Texas.
No pun.
This has been a red-hot
Right.
spot for illegal immigration for the last couple weeks.
Who's coming across, do you think, and how many?
Right now, immigrants from 160 different countries are crossing this border. These are going to be people from other than Mexico and other than Central America, really from all over the world, Middle Easterners, people from every country of Africa, and the numbers are absolutely stupendous. This mass migration crisis of the last 36 months, 30 plus months, broke every record in the national history books already. But now we're in a surge that is breaking all of those records. We're looking at, 14,000 apprehensions a day, 10,000, 11, 12,000 a day, where like 1,000 a day once upon a time a few years ago was considered a national emergency.
So I wanted to point out something here with what he's talking about. He's talking about apprehensions, not the people that got away. We're talking about just the people they caught. There's a good distinction in the wordage there, is that these are just the people we caught, not the amount of people that were away, that got away. We don't know how
Right.
many actually made it into the interior of the country. These are only the people that we know of. Like, that's how insane this whole thing is.
And here's the thing. I don't even believe, you know me, I don't believe anything that comes out these people's mouths. So apprehension, I don't believe they really apprehended the numbers that they say they did. They tell us these numbers to keep American people happy, to keep American people from, standing up and, voicing their opinion. So they're going to throw out these bull crap. And we captured 1,000. How do you know it? Prove it. Show me. So you got to take everything they say with a grain of salt. Yes, they throw out fancy numbers. They show fancy graphs that some nerd in the freaking office put on freaking a Word document and then presented it as facts. So even with the apprehension, I don't even believe that. I believe the number, is way more than what they're telling us that escape.
I don't even think they've apprehended anything like that number.
No, I don't even think it's close.
I think
Couple
they give
hundred,
that
maybe.
number. I think they give that number to try and keep you from looking at it.
Mhm.
Maybe the real number is much higher.
It is.
It's like,
it's a
this is the
fact,
number
it is.
where we've accepted as being okay.
Yeah,
But
I mean, we
it's-
should be at a point in our country right now to where no matter what side they're on, and there are some that you on the right, I think personally, you can trust a little more what comes out of their mouth. But we should be at a point in our country right now that when these talking heads get up here, these politicians get up here and throw numbers and their facts at us, we should never fully believe what's coming out of their mouth. You should always question it.
The mayor pretty much said that you're an old-fashioned Negro. You should bow and stop complaining about the new improved Negro. That's exactly what he
That's
said.
a really good way to put it. Wow.
That's,
Yeah.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
Your old news.
This is the $29 million deal he signed with a private firm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The deal with the private firm was to move about 1,600 migrants that have been living in police stations into tents, encampments around the city. Now, I'm going to just say something about these tents and encampments things. If you're familiar with homeless people, that's pretty much how it is in some of these blue cities. It is way in Seattle. There are streets upon streets upon streets of tents and feces and garbage. Now, it's that way too in certain parts of Chicago. Now you introduce 1,600 more people to this problem, and you say you're going to put them up in tents and are you look
Camps.
this if people aren't catching on yet that this but and I heard someone try to defend this fool.
Yeah.
Who now the person that's trying to defend him says that he's for the betterment of blacks in Chicago, and he has programs going for it and all this nonsense. And when you ask him, so what about this? Well, he's only doing what he can do. You know, his hands are kind of tied. I said his hands are so tied that he can pass 3 programs for immigrants and none for Negroes. That's how tied his hands are. Well, he came from this and came from that. He understands the play. He understands it so much that he's going to ignore you. You stupid. There's a word for you, and that's stupid. You're not an intelligent human being. You're dumb. If you honestly believe that man, all that rhetoric he's talking about, I sincerely doubt that you care as much about black people as you say you do. You don't care. You are the same one that say you left this certain location the way they are, and you moved up, and you just turned your back. You became a house Negro. That's all you are now. You are a house Negro. You left the plantation, kinda, but didn't. You left the fields anyway, and you went up and sat with Massa, and Massa say, hey, we got some work for you here, boy. He said, yes, sir, Massa. Let me do it right for you, right quick. I'll get right on it, sir. And you come back down to the plantation, and you go down in the fields, and you start cussing out your brother, saying, now, y'all learn your place now. You ain't for this place. You ain't for that. Just shut up now and be quiet now, boys. That's how you behave. That's the mayor of Chicago. He's a boy. And I mean that in the most racist term I can find. He is a boy. He's Massa's boy. And he's doing exactly the bidding of Massa. Like plain and simple.
I mean, this is big business. The cartels have been making hand over fist billions of dollars on this crisis. And they don't even have to take any risk for it, right? They just got to get them over to the border, and then that's it. Whereas they prefer human trafficking over drugs now because it's easier. Like, I don't have to risk an entire shipment going and not being able to sell it. All I got to do is get these people across the border, and that's it. If they get caught, doesn't matter. They'll come back. They'll pay me again. I'll send them back over the border. And that's how they view it. They don't see it any other way. They see them as products. Just another thing to get over the border.
That $200 is a very low number, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, this is back in May. I don't know what they're charging now. But...
Oh, no. That's not even the number that they've been charging last year.
Yeah.
It is exponentially higher. These cartels are making money hand over fist.
Yep.
And I could say this, and because I'm pretty 98% sure this is happening, they're giving a kickback to politicians over here for allowing it. That's the only way you can tell me that you're okay with the border being open, is because you're getting a kickback for leaving it that way.
Yeah.
There's no other excuse that I can think of that you can tell me. None.
Hey, I mean, and the border thing, people have to understand, nothing that is happening happens by chance.
No.
You know, all these immigrants that are coming across the border didn't just all wake up one day and say, we're all just going to go to America right now. These people are paid. These people are offered things, and these people get on these trains and these buses that trek them across whatever country they're coming from. And then they wind up at the border, and then the border gets overwhelmed, and they can't stop people from coming over, as you saw in that video. And then we don't know who's in that group. And then we have the crisis like we're having now in America.
There are literal recruiters that go to these different countries and pick people up. It's like, hey, how would you like to go to America for this much money? And they'll say, yeah. And then they'll get on a plane, they'll fly in, and then they'll get shipped across the border.
No.
And then what'll happen is that the entire demographic shift will occur, and then change the entire voting block.
It's
Well-
it's not even just that, because like they don't even need them to vote. Here's the thing people misunderstand about the whole immigration issue when it comes to voting. It's like they don't need to make them vote. What they need is population change.
Mm-hmm.
The increase in population is what gives you more seats, right? So it's based off of a certain amount of people. One congressman per every, what was it, 250,000, I think? I gotta
Something
look
like
it up
that.
again. Anyway, so one congressional district for a certain amount of people. So all you got to do is bring people in, and that's why they got upset when Donald Trump wanted to bring in like asking if there were citizens on there, because they can't count them if they know them as citizens. But if it's just a number, this is how many people of the population is in X area, right?
You get a seat.
You get a seat. You get an extra seat, and which is what they have done in California for a very long time. That's why it has the most electoral college points, and it also has the most amount of congressional seats.
Now, the other phase to this, that this is more than just an invasion of Chicago. Hear me out. What I'm going to get into, and I'm going to show you something. I apologize in advance, kinda, for what you're going to hear and how it's going to come across, because it is. He does say some pretty crazy stuff. But this is what we would consider radicalization of the current Black population here. This is going hand in hand with the immigration. It just so happens that they're going to use the whole Israel thing to kickstart two different things here. So they're bringing them different kinds of bodies. And trust me, there are many, many people from the Middle East that are in Chicago right now, on the ground from over there, ready to indoctrinate. And here's how they do it. Because, unfortunately, you don't have to agree with it, but it's been true for the last 50, 60 years. The weaker-minded Negro is very emotionally charged. And you can get them to sway just by hyping them up into something they believe is a just cause. It may be absolutely stupid, but because it makes them feel a certain way, they'll be hyped up by it. So now you bring in an influx of immigrants, and not all of them have good intentions. In fact, many of them don't. And then you bring in some that are a part and parcel of the events going on right now in Israel. Okay. So you bring them over, and they start to show the weaker-minded, simple Black people of Chicago and other places, y'all should do the same thing that Hamas is doing, because you've been downtrodden for so long. You should do the same things. Now, if you think it hasn't taken root, or it's too much for people to, come on, they ain't gonna believe that. Here you go. Here's some proof. Okay, ready? Listen up. Let me see if I can make this any larger.
Oh yeah. I remember
I did.
this.
Okay, here we go.
And they found the field hands in the house with a knife ready to cut their fucking throats. I was late to the news, but when I heard it, I smiled. I don't want to hear that bullshit. 250 innocent Israelis are dead. Fuck them. Again, I swear, I salute Hamas. A job well done.
Okay. Now, that you might say it's a one-off. It's in a public area. If you go, and I know many of you don't want to go because it's a cesspool, but if you go to places like TikTok and Instagram, every other live that contains an African American is touting the same thing. They are touting this idea that if we got the balls to it, we could just get up and start killing our oppressors. Now, hear me out. Unlike over there in the Middle East, if you try that stuff here, I'm going to let you know now, you might fail and fail horribly, and your numbers are going to go exponentially down. This is how stupid you are. And I'm not talking to the intelligent Black people out there who have a usable brain. I'm talking to the dummies, and I'm talking to the smart ones to watch out for the dummies. These people are so stupid that they're willing to bring in a foreign entity into their own neighborhoods to displace them and make them go do something as stupid as fight somebody they cannot win against and kill themselves. Meanwhile, they're not doing it. They're over here to take your place, you moron. And you have a mayor that's promoting you doing it because you're not the same as them.
Yep.
This is how stupid you people are. Really?
there's a historical accuracy in that, because you think about the Haitian slave revolt, right?
Mhm.
And how Haiti became to be. It actually made slavery worse in that time. It actually probably would have ended sooner had Haiti not actually happened, because all it did was freak out the white Southerners, right? Because they said, "Man, if it can happen in Haiti, what if it happened here?" Right? And it
Well,
made it
it
worse.
didn't just happen in Haiti. The thing is, once it happened in
Mhm.
Haiti, there were myriads of islands that took note and did the same thing. It
Mhm.
was Haiti, it was Jamaica, it was Barbados, it was a whole slew of them that did the exact same thing, rose up, killed the entire plantation, and took over.
Mhm.
Now they saw that, and just like you said, they're like, we ain't doing that. Now, but mind you, the difference is in the Caribbean, we actually had a larger population of blacks than we ever had whites on the plantation.
Mhm.
Over here, they still had a larger population of whites that were slave owners and hated black people than there were black people.
Mm.
I'm not saying that everyone in America that was white had slaves, because that was only about
Right, right. We
3% to
know that's not
5% of the
true.
population. But the population that did hate was more than the population of blacks here. So they couldn't really pull that revolt stuff off here. They might have done it on smaller plantations and kind of ran away, but they were not able to accomplish what happened in the Caribbean, where not only did you overthrow them, but no one else came in, because if you went in there, you died.
Right.
Here
They
and
even
here's
tried
the
to do-
problem. Here's the problem with that whole statement and that this whole BLM movement when it comes to Hamas and thinking they're going to do the same thing
Right.
is America's not like Israel or Palestine or
Right.
whatever. We have so many different multiracial, different groups of people in this country that who would be your target? I get it. They want to take out white people, but which white people? How do you know this white person doesn't stand with you in your call? How do you know? You know what I mean?
It don't
So
matter.
it'd be very hard to differentiate who the enemy is and who's not. And what about the people that don't want to be part of your fight? What about the black people that you don't know? They're just like, I don't want nothing to do with this.
Yep.
And they see you as a threat. Now you're fighting, you're killing off people you don't like. Now you're worried about people that look like you fighting back with you. Then they have other people that don't like your cause. So that's why I get what Marlon's saying. It would never happen in America, because the American people they wouldn't stand for it. Because you'll have the people who don't pick sides that would actually come together for a fight like that.
See, the problem with the whole thing is, like I said, historically, the reason why it was bad and it actually caused things to get worse is because it just proved all of the doomsayers right. And it's the same thing that happens with this. Is like they're saying Hamas is a evil, bloodthirsty organization, and they just proved them right. So they made the situation worse, and you see what's going on there in the Gaza Strip because of it, right? Their sensibilities, their emotional, rational brain just went, nope, we're not doing that anymore. We're not going to give them a chance. That's the thing. It's like, it's the same thing with this. It's like you want to give over to these people that don't care about you. It's the same thing with the Democrats, right? They only want power, and as soon as they get something that proves them right, they'll latch onto it, and that's the thing.
I wanted to listen to this real quick. This is the extended version of his speech, but listen carefully to. You need to hear it for yourself. If Chicagoans out there need to hear this for themselves, in case you didn't hear it before, okay. But make sure you listen to exactly what he's saying, because they like to say it, and you people don't like to listen.
To Chicago. Hear their answers.
There's enough here for everyone, you all. Now, look, there are forces.
You hear that? You hear the precursor that they always put out there. You're telling me there's enough for everyone, so you can afford to bring people in, yet these are the same people who are telling you it's not enough, are struggling. They're telling you to your face, no, we don't have enough. Because if we did, we wouldn't be living the way we're living. You stand up there with your stupid look on your face talking about, oh, we got enough for everyone.
Forces that will attempt to divide our communities and pit us against one another. Not under my administration. That black, brown, white, Asian, young, old, whoever you are, you get to be supported in this city. And especially those who are seeking asylum and refuge here in the city of Chicago.
I will require that every single one of the 77 communities in Chicago be welcoming communities.
You hear that? I hope you're hearing this. There's going to demand that you accept this. I am not making this up. TSP isn't making this up. None of us on the screen here is making this nonsense up. What they're telling you, imagine this. They're on a horse. They got a straw hat on with a whip in their hand, looking you dead in the eye and saying, boy, get back on the field now. I don't want to hear your complaints. There's enough work for everybody. Get back on the field, boy. And here comes Stephen just before him talking about, Nick, just get back in the field.
Mm-hmm.
It gets worse.
And it's important that we not create division by simply going in and making decisions that impact individual communities without any prior consultation.
You are, though. That's the whole point. You're doing exactly that. You literally just told them they have to accept it, which is making a decision for them without any consultation.
Mm-hmm.
And the stupid people will listen to say, see, he wants our consultation. You idiot. He does not need your consultation.
He doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 77 communities. Why can't they all be welcoming communities?
Now, both candidates.
This is insane. And there are people out there stupid enough to still vote for those clowns and put them right back into power. Right back in. While they hold you by your neck with a rope around it, put their boot to your mouth and tell you to lick like a dog. And you like a fool sit there and lap it up and ask for more. I hope they kick your teeth in. I hope everybody, and this is just me saying this, but I hope to high heaven that all of you that voted for those two fools, I hope they find you and kick your teeth all the way into the back of your head, and they continue to beat you down till you cannot move. You lose all hope. You become so full of despair that you continue to spiral until you end. Because you brought this crap on yourself because of your stupidity.
Yep.
We've been trying to tell you this for a long time, that all they do is pander.
They're never going to listen.
Before the vote even happened, they told you they were going to bring these in. Joe Biden told you. He told all them dumb Negroes sitting up there on the Zoom screen, we will have more Mexicans here. We will have more brown people here than you. They told you this. And you sat there like, and we're good with that. And they put this on your back and you just sit there like a field Negro sitting there and taking it like a dummy. Well, guess what? I hope they whip you more. I hope they whip you until you cannot move. I hope they block you into a house and they just ravage you until you cannot move anymore because you deserve it, because you look like you want this. And if it's what you want, don't complain. I don't want to hear your mouth. I don't want to see a thing from you. I don't want to hear from you. Just shut up and take it like a good house Negro.
That's right.
Take it like a good field Negro because you deserve there. Those of us that want to break free, we will take whatever gunshots are fired at us and we will run. But we're not coming back for you. You stay right there and enjoy it.
And the thing with these people and people like him and other politicians and other so-called powers to be, that's the term people use, is that they're always going to tell you exactly what they're going to do. They don't hide it.
Yeah.
They tell you exactly, we're going to do this to you. But then they dial it up a little bit to make it sound better than what it really is. And then, like Marlon said, them dang house Negroes, and they're just, yeah, you see, they're going to bring the immigrants, but they said they're going to give us a check for $600, and I'm going to take the check, and these immigrants, and then the check stops, and these immigrants are getting triple what they gave you.
Right.
And you sitting up over here eating freaking Vienna sausage and Spam for dinner every day. They're out at a restaurant.
Hey,
laughing at you, laughing at us, demanding. They're over here demanding things that our own people don't even get. And these politicians are up there praising them and giving them more. They be like, we want better food. We want better housing. And they give it to them. The American people ask for the same thing and they laugh at them.
Yeah, spit in your eye.
And you freaking buffoons out there, you tap dancing Negroes out there and other people that keep voting for these fools, don't hold them accountable. So this is why they do it.
Which is,
see, the difference between the left and the right isn't afraid to hold their people accountable who they vote for. They will call them out in a heartbeat. The left don't do that. They always try to divert and say, well, Trump. Well, 4 years ago, Trump, man, 5 years ago, freaking this president. No, hold your person accountable. Hold Biden accountable right now. They won't. It's not his fault. It's Russia's fault. It's this fault. No, he's the man in charge of everything. It's his fault. What happens and fails to happen in this country falls on the president of the United States, period. I'm just saying.
One of the things that's funny about this is that if you look at the Chicago election, I don't know if you know this, if you look at the electoral map of how that race went down, it was purely on racial lines.
I believe it.
He literally got elected by the same people that are complaining about his policies right now. The only way he got in there was because of the black communities in Chicago. This is the only reason he was elected that way. It was purely on African American lines is how he got in the office. And those same people are now complaining to them, is like, hey, why are you doing this thing that we voted you in for? Well, because that's what he told you he was going to do.
Exactly.
And not only that, but it's just crazy to me that it's almost this weird sort of cognitive dissonance that oh, well, maybe next time I'll get seasoned, lemon pepper crumbs from this politician next time versus, oh no, now we got seasoned salt crumbs this round. But you know what? We want lemon pepper crumbs from on the next one. Are they going to give it to us? We think so. And it's like, yeah.
And always remember, it's this old saying. We all know what it is. If they tell you who they are or show you who they are, always believe them. That's why show you. They're telling you who they are. They're telling you what they're about. Believe them. Believe them. Hold them to that. Then you won't have any surprises.
Yep. That's why free speech is so important. People don't get it. It's like you can't, if you don't let people speak how they actually think, you don't know who to avoid. Right? Like if you don't believe them for what they say, and they're not allowed to say what they think, then you don't know who they are.
That's right.
And that's why it's so important. That's why it is the way that it is. We need to know who's who. We need to know who believes what. And that's exactly what we saw with Black Lives Matter. It's like the left was completely surprised that these people were anti-Semites. Like
they told
had no
us
idea. Had no clue. They're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know there was a bunch of people that hated Jews on the left. It's like, I thought that was only
told us.
And it's funny though, because like they're saying white supremacists support Israel. And it's like, have you ever met a real white supremacist before? They don't think that way. Like, legitimately, you mentioned the word Jew, and there's going to be a whole plethora of things that they're going to talk about.
Oh yeah,
and in terms of banking and controlling the world and all this other BS, is like they are not supporting Israel. Period. Okay, not a chance.
It's an insane thing, and I don't think we'll get to the bottom of this anytime soon because people do not want to listen. And this thing will catapult America not only externally because we're going to be outsourcing our resources to foreign countries while not taking care of the local. You'll end up seeing a war just like it is over there, except that it will not be one that the people who are starting the war can win. It is not one you can win. They're hoping the same way America has been funneling money. They funnel it to Iran in order to fund Hamas. They've also funded Israel. They're making sure that the war happens between while they make money. They'll do the same thing here. They bring in the people to start the war with the locals. The locals will start fighting back, and they'll keep funding both sides. Why do you think BLM has jumped on the whole train of Hamas? They know that you'll follow them. You followed them to burn your own cities down just a 3 years ago. They coerced you because of their name to do some of the most horrendous and stupid things ever. In fact, they made you so unable to process logic that you went and did your own Black Wall Street. This is how stupid you fools are. You allowed BLM to make you, by your own admission and actions, commit Black Wall Street all over again. And in the process, kill your own kind, because that's how you talk. David Dorn, protecting a business. You killed him with no problem. But don't give me this book about white people was the one doing it. You niggas did it. That was you. It's on film. I don't care if you had a bunch of white people helping you. You did it. You brought them in as allies.
Yeah.
You brought in all the racists you could find to covertly help you kill your own people. You are the ones that did this. Just like in Black Wall Street, where you had a hand in it, you did it again.
That's right.
That was you. Don't blame white people for this. It was your stupidity that wanted Black people dead because you didn't like them. You didn't want to get up and work. You didn't want to do anything. You did this. You did it. Don't blame white people for your stupidity and your actions. They might have been happy to see you do it, but you put your little grummy, dirty hands on somebody else's business and burned it to the ground, just like Black Wall Street. But you want to complain about slavery and all the years of slavery we went through so much, and la 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 la, and look at what they did to Black Wall Street. Nigga, you did it just last year, and the year before, and the year before. And every year since the whole 1965 thing happened, you've been destroying your own communities. You've been conducting your own version of Black Wall Street every year. I don't want to hear you complain about your wealth not growing. Your wealth isn't growing because every time your wealth decides to grow and you see somebody prospering, you know what you go do? Rob them.
That's right.
You go rob them. And when they pop a cap in your behind and kill one of yours, you're quick to throw revolt. Oh, they killed Johnny. He was such a good boy. He didn't mean no harm. He's part of the didn't do nothing crew. Johnny deserved that when he was 12. Johnny's been doing that since he was 10. Y'all never stopped Johnny because you agreed with Johnny. And now Johnny's old. Johnny's doing it for a living now. And he goes after the same people that are trying to make ends meet to create a whole new set of wealth for the Black community. You go and rob them.
And, you know, one thing people have to, let's put things in a historical context, right? So if you think about the brown shirts and you think about the rise of the Nazis, right? What happened to the brown shirts once the Nazis got their power?
They were taken out, weren't they?
Yeah. They were
taken
out.
out.
Night of Knives is when they
That's right. So people have to understand what's going on. History repeats itself. It's the same playbook. Yeah. They're going to bring in Hamas or whoever they want to bring in that they consider a powerful group. They're going to use groups like BLM and Antifa to do their dirty work. And guess what? Once they get what they want and they get in their power, guess what happens to you guys, along with the rest of us?
Expendable.
You're expendable. Yeah. You're nothing to them. They will kill you. So you guys better stop jumping on these Marxist, communist, whatever movements, because at the end of the day, whenever a Marxist, communist, socialist gets in power, anybody that helped him get there, that was just a pawn to him, and take you out too.
And in that same token, I'm also going to throw a precautionary tale to the Asian American community that seems to want to become allies to BLM. Look, bad form, bad move. Stay in your lane. Do what you need to do to raise your families, and make your money. Because, quite frankly, demographically speaking, I mean, stay in the education, stay in your employment, and all that stuff. Don't be an ally because you think it's a cool movement, just because you were a awkward little Asian kid that you need something cool to latch onto. Don't do that.
And for being white people, they're just stupid. They're just dumb.
Not all white people now. Not everybody. No, I mean, we're not. Okay. Yeah, okay. We're not talking about everybody.
The as Michael would put it, the mental midgets of the left, white people, those affluent white people that have nothing better to do with their time than get into other people's problems.
The window lickers, the mental midgets, the smooth brains, negative IQ.
It's so funny to me because growing up in the poor South, there are so many things that are parallel with how everybody is taught in the Black community is this X group of people is what's wrong with everything. It was the same thing that it was taught to the poor whites in the South is Black people are the reason why you have all this problems. Jews are the reason you have all this problem, right? It was taught in that way. It's the reason you can't get ahead is because of X reason. It's the same logic that's been told to every single group, right? This group of people is responsible for your problem over and over and over again. So that's what the left always does is who's responsible for all the problems? Well, it's the Republicans, right? And they go to the Black community. Guess who's responsible for all your problems? The white people are responsible for all your problems, right? It's the same logic of any of these racial supremacist groups.
Yep. And they're all racial supremacists. All of them. Anybody who puts their race above anybody else, the color of their skin, the vessel that their soul travels in, if you put that above anything else, you are a racial supremacist. Period. Yeah.
Period. Point blank. Hands down. Now, for those of people who don't want to hear some truth, I'm going to leave one last one with you. The pro-Black people that put this clown in power in Chicago now allowing migrants to come take over the city and put Black people who live there in more impoverished situations. He is part of a party called the Democrats. Okay. The Democrats were the ones in charge in 1965, 64, when the Civil Rights Act was passed.
Yeah.
Just before the Civil Rights Act was passed, there was a certain statement made by a certain individual who was at the time acting president because of the assassination of JFK. He had said some things about black people, but today you'll still hear him, black people say how much he was a good president and that he did so much for the black community. He said, these Negroes, they're getting pretty uppity these days, and that's a problem for us since they've got something now they've never had before, the political pull to back up their uppityness. Now we've got to do something about this. We've got to give them a little something, just enough to quiet them down, not enough to make a difference.
Crumbs, basically, is what he's saying.
So I want people to understand this. This is something that they have planned, spoken about, and he has been documented using and calling black people the N-word with the solid capitalized ER. The same person that signed with MLK that document, he's the same one that was behind and helped make sure that JFK got assassinated. The same one that was in charge right after that happened, that went with Martin Luther King and a bunch of these pro-black, woke black, stupid black people to sign the civil rights movement in conjunction with the gay rights movement. Those are the people who said that you'll be voting Democrat for the next 100 years. And guess what's happened? We're almost at 100 years. Have you stopped voting Democrat? No.
Nope.
When LBJ stepped in, if you didn't know he was part of the KKK, maybe you should go do your history. He was not just a part, he was a solid part. He did not like Negroes. In fact, every term, during his own speech, after the Civil Rights Bill was passed, it's on YouTube right now, you could hear him calling them Negroes. He said, these Negroes and the Negro and this Negro and that Negro. He rarely called anybody by their name. And if you look at now, the same black person in charge is doing the same thing. They planned this. They've done this before. They're proficient at it. In the words of the architect in the Matrix, we have done this enough and we are proficient at it. They're very proficient. They know how to manipulate you, the weak ones. They know how to lie to you, the weak ones. They know how to make you feel like they're doing something. And in the long run, they're doing nothing for you. But you know what? You keep voting blue, no matter who, and I will laugh at your demise. In fact, I will point my finger and I will open my stomach so wide that I will hurt myself, stretching the bands of my abdominal muscles, laughing at you. Why? Because you deserve it. Everything that you put in front of you, you fully deserve. You are fully deserving of your streets being unsafe, you being impoverished, you're dying of diabetes and disease and wasting away and killing each other. You deserve that. And I pray for the ones who are wanting to leave that you find a way out and never, ever, ever go back.
That's
I
right.
hope you leave it and turn your back fully on this thing called the black community, because it is not a community. What they're talking about is not how communities run. Community is supposed to have your back. A community is supposed to be communal in their helping of each other, and y'all don't do that. That is not the black community. You're a black conglomeration, but you're not a community. And I pray for those who do not want to be a part of this. Please find a way out. Get out of it and never turn back. Don't Nipsey hustle yourself trying to go back and help people. Don't be like Lot and turn around and turn into a pillar of salt. Don't be like Lot's wife and get into a pillar of salt. Turn, leave. Just get out, dip out, and leave them alone. They don't want the help. They don't need the help. Let them be.
And, you know, going back to like what Marlon was discussing about LBJ and the civil rights movement, you have to understand that a lot of these Democrats like LBJ and many more that voted for the civil rights movement with him, remember that they voted against it prior to that, all of them. So you got to understand, they didn't vote for the civil rights movement, LBJ and, Joe Biden's dad or whatever, whoever his family members were there. They didn't do it because they cared about black people. They did it for political reasons. Like Marlon said, I'm going to have these Negroes voting for us for the next 100 years, voting Democrat for the next 100 years. So they knew what they were doing. They knew it was a political move. If we can give them this, and then we'll throw a little more in there to keep them on our side. They've never liked black people, and they never will. Even if they're they look like you. They got that D, and some R's. They got that D in front of their name or any party line. Don't trust them. Do not trust these people.
Here's some quotes. Now remember, he's the Democrat. All of them talk. Go ask any pro-black person that's important if they like LBJ. They'll tell you yes. Yep. I'll tell you what's at the bottom of it. If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. He'll give somebody to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you. These are the allies, the jolly good gingers of the world, the good troubles of the world. All these clowns that say they pander, the Mike Hortons of the world, right? The ones that jump on the train at every killing. That's him, Mike Horton. Michael Horton. Yeah. Every time you see the killing of a black person, they jump up in front. These white people. That's who he's talking about. The lowest common white person will be the first to jump and say, "I'm better." Oh, the reason that happened because white people are inherently better than black people. Here's another one. I'll have those N-words voting Democratic for the next 200 years. I mean, until justice is blind to color. Until education is unaware of race, until opportunity is unconcerned with the color of men's skin, emancipation will be a proclamation, but not a fact. You see how they like to speak both sides? He'll talk about you one way, but he'll throw out this little, remember, give you enough to keep you coming in. Meanwhile, he says this very same thing up here. Man, look.
And who was another president that spoke like that? The current one, right? Remember he said we can't have some uppity N-words. We got an N-word judge, N-word mayor. We don't need any more uppity N-words. And then people still praise this guy. And then if you talk about him, you're making fun of him because he's elderly. No, I'm making fun of him because he's an idiot and he's racist as hell.
Yeah.
Call a spade a spade. Forget this party line stuff. If Donald Trump came out and said the most racist stuff on the planet, I can bet money we would say something.
Yeah,
we would say something. We all lean right. We're not Republicans, but we do lean right.
Who's Mr. One Eye? He said something stupid. We've denounced him.
Yep.
Dan Crenshaw.
Okay. Crenshaw.
Yeah.
Yep. The funny thing about this whole thing is that this is how the Democrats operate. They've always operated like this, right? They'll promise the world to you, especially the black community. Vote for us this time. We'll get you X thing. And then they go, why couldn't you get us the X thing? And they'll say, oh, it was because the Republicans. You got to blame them. The Republicans did it. It's those white supremacist white folk that are keeping you from getting the thing that we promised you. If you vote for us next time, we'll definitely get it to you. Over and over and over and over again for decades. They've been promising the same thing. And then when they ask them, why can't you get it? They say, the Republicans, those white folks. That's the reason you can't get it. Every single time. And it never changes and it never will change because you keep voting for them every single time.
And just because the promises are laced with crumbs, basically.
And that's what I was going to allude to. Someone brought up breadcrumbs. What is the number one thing a narcissist does?
Gaslight.
Or one of the things. Gaslighting's one, but what is another thing they tend to do?
Love bomb.
Right? Love bomb, breadcrumbs. They throw breadcrumbs at you just to keep you interested, keep you in. They fail you. So this is what the Democrats do. They'll promise something, they won't follow through. You get disappointed. What do they give? They give you a little more breadcrumbs to, he's going to do this now. Then you're back. And it's that emotional trauma.
Here it is. That's exactly what you're saying, right? And he said it. Lyndon B. Johnson said it. It's so funny that you said what he said. You don't take a person who for years has been hobbled by chains and liberate him, bring him up and start a line of a race and then say you are free to compete with all others and still justly believe that you have been completely fair. We seek not just legal equity, but human ability, not just equality as a right, but a theory, but equality as a fact. and equality as a result. Now, I want you to take that whole statement, and I know many are going to say, see, he was about helping Black America. Let's analyze the statement. He says you don't just take a guy that was hobbled in chains and liberate him and bring him to the starting line and say race. No, you can't do that. Why? Here's why you don't do that. In their minds, you're not capable of doing any more. This is what they're saying. Listen to me carefully. And they quote it so well. They make it sound, especially these white allies, they all come and say they have to speak for Black people. You can't get anywhere. Biden said it. You can't do it without white people. It's the same thing. I can't just dump you at the line. You don't know what to do. So here, boy, let me help you along. We're going to make sure you get equality now. And what that means, we're going to give you a house. But here's a case. Now, remember who's giving this to you, boy. Remember who's giving this to you. I just need a little bit of something from you. I'm going to give you all this stuff. This is equality. Now you get to move up. Just vote for me, and I'm going to give it to you. We give you equality. When was the last? Now, remember, this was 65. Have you seen it yet? You remember, you've been voting for the person that said this, the party that said this. Have you seen this yet? How long has it been? We're in 2023? This was in 64. So we're almost at what, 60 years now?
Yeah.
We're almost at 60 years, right? Have you seen any of this so-called equality and equity that he spoke about in 1965? And don't tell me, oh, Republicans stopped it. There have been scores of years where not a single Republican was to be found in the Congress, in the Senate, or in the presidency. And they still did nothing, namely 1965.
We're in this is 15 election cycles later. And we're still seeing this. And it's interesting to me that like you're saying all this because it's literally just legislative soft bigotry of low expectations.
Yes.
There's also the there's another thing that people tend to rely on. It's the lie of utopia. Is that the secret to life is that nothing is fair and everything is equal at the same time, right? Is that you are equal in that you all are born and you all die. That's the only thing that is true, is that you will be born and you will die at some point. How you die, when you die, where you die, that's a different question, right? But you will die. There is no utopia in where everybody is equal, because nothing in this world is ever going to be equal.
Never.
There's nothing such as equivalent in exchange. Somebody has to pay for it. Somebody has to pay the price. Utopia isn't utopia without somebody paying the price. Whether it's blood or silver, it's one of those two things. There's a short story that I read in college. I'm trying to remember the actual author to it, but the basic premise of it is that everybody was living the utopia above, but below were the suffering of the others.
And the thing about true equality, right? I mean, let's say America wanted to live this utopian life and everything was equal. Everything from, the way we walk, the way we're just equal across the board. Are sports ever equal? That means we have no need for sports. We have no need for competition. We have no need. So when Coy's saying about nothing will ever be equal, ever. There's always a winner and a loser. And if you live your life thinking that there's always a winner and a loser, you're always going to win some, you're always going to lose some. So, and it's never going to happen. So they promise this utopian ideology that they can never follow through with because they know it's not going to happen. Just the way humans are built, it's never going to happen. There's always going to be a winner. There's always going to be a loser.
Yep.
It's sports, man. It's sports. Like, I would have never been able to run like Barry Sanders. Nobody will ever be able to run like Barry Sanders. And he gave people not just equality, he gave them head starts, and he still whooped their behind. He would give a defensive back 10 yards to catch him. He would be 10 yards in front of him and run past him and be 10 yards ahead of him, and the DB couldn't do nothing about it. He not only gave him equity, he gave him equality and then some, and still whooped his behind. So you wanted Barry Sanders to just stand there?
Yeah.
And take step for step and lose the game? Nah, fam. Look, like Coy said, like bro said, there is no such thing as you doing what I do because I be working harder than most people.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before. I may put in more emphasis on things because I want something more than somebody else. And then you tell me that they're going to get paid the same pay and not going to pay me my overtime because I worked. Or it's not going to happen. Sorry.
Yeah.
No. You're going to pay me what I work, and you're going to pay him what he work, which is nothing. That's equity, and that's equality right there.
But I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's the purpose of unions, right? So unions, with unions, there's no reward in your work. It's like, hey, everybody gets a raise. You've been the top worker, busting your butt, getting where you got to get performance-wise, while this lazy guy in the back been hiding out in the break room, but everybody gets the same raise.
Yep.
Nonsense.
That's like the difference between good
Crazy.
teachers and bad teachers, right?
Yep.
The unions
Oh, yeah,
protect the
that's
bad
right.
ones all the time. And here's the other thing, like I said, is
Cops
that
too.
who remembers their high school reading Animal Farm?
I remember.
Mhm.
That was a
Yeah,
good
you
one.
remember that? So
Yeah.
everybody is equal, but some are more equal than others. That is how the Democrats believe. And you look
Yeah.
at their philosophy and how they act, right? It's like, yeah, we're equal, but some of us are more equal than others.
I get it.
Every single time.
I get it. We're all animals. Some of us are cheetahs and some of us are chicks.
Yeah.
We're still equally animals. I just gonna eat you up later. That's all. I'm just a cheetah and you just happen to be a chick.
Yeah.
Look, there's nothing equal in nature.
Don't say that.
Nothing in nature is equal. Nothing is equal in nature.
No.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Okay? Nothing. Not even down to plants. The Venus flytrap is not equal to a sunflower. I'm sorry. No. Okay?
True.
There is a marked
Yeah.
difference between the two. So don't ever make them fool you. And this thing in Chicago is going to get exponentially worse. I'm glad that some are talking. Look, don't get me wrong. I love that the people that are voicing their opinions to get it out of that city, that they're voicing their opinions.
Mhm.
Here's the problem. You're not going to get any traction because the
No.
power that in charge, which is one, your mayor, and two, the media, they're not going to allow that. It has to be something that you do outside of speech. I'm sorry to tell you, but the same way you can do a Black Wall Street, that's all I'm going to say. The same way you can pull a Black Wall Street. Sometimes the oppression has to get enough that you revolt.
Yeah, and I can give it to TMZ. I don't know if you guys saw that TMZ interview a couple days ago, day before yesterday. How TMZ, out of all things, TMZ actually came out and denounced Black Lives Matter. I was like, what? TMZ is doing it?
Yeah.
So, there are people out there that are voicing their opinion about Black Lives Matter and all this Palestine stuff, and how Black Lives Matter is out there speaking. But at the end of the day, if these foreigners and these immigrants get what they want, Black Lives Matter is going to be right back where they started from Get Up. They're going to be down in the slums with the rest of us. So you got to be careful with them.
Yeah.
You're going to get what you asked for.
It's funny that they're taking their tax dollars to pay for the immigrants in the first place, right? It's like,
Thank you.
These migrants are so poor and helpless that they need your money when you're struggling already to pay for them, because they come from really terrible places when most of them really don't.
Hey, look,
Very
have you been to Baltimore? Have you been to
Yes,
inner city
cool.
Baltimore?
Yeah, I've been in Baltimore.
Okay. It is just as bad, if not worse, than some of these places in Mexico and Honduras. Okay. So don't tell me that there are not people sleeping on the floor. Most of the projects in Chicago are like that too. Rundown buildings, nasty water, the streets are dirty, lights are in and out, walls are falling apart. It's pretty much a third world country, and you're trying to tell me that you're going to compare.
Yeah.
Man, wow.
Same thing with
bro.
Chicago.
Chicago, Austin, LA,
Detroit.
New York, Detroit,
Downtown Atlanta.
Oregon,
St. Louis.
Portland,
Any of these major cities.
Seattle.
Democrat-
You think about these
that
major
way.
cities that are cesspools for things like this, and people are allowing it. The citizens that pay the taxes there, that pay into the infrastructure, are paying for this, and a lot of them aren't saying anything about it. So if I'm in charge and you're not voicing your opinion about it, and you're not telling me to get F off, I'm gonna be like, oh, they must be cool with it then.
Mhm.
Hey, bring in about 1,000 more. Let's see what they say. Oh, we're not gonna say nothing as long as we get our kibbles and bits from the government. Make sure I get my EBD card and my check, and I'm not gonna say nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, let's bring in
Yeah.
3,000 more. Oh, sorry, we're running out of money. We have to divvy it up. So your next check is gonna be half because we have to help.
Yeah.
And not only that, but
Before-
hey, sir, Mr. Michael, can you give up your place of residency for these people?
Yes.
Mhm.
You have a room that they can stay in.
Look, I remember watching Rocky, the first one,
Hmm.
and he lived in Philly, right? You remember how because they filmed it in Philadelphia,
Mhm.
like they went out to film it.
Yeah.
I remember watching that, thinking how dirty that place looked.
Yeah.
Like,
That was
mind you, right? It was grimy, it was dark, it was dank, it was cold, it everything about it just screamed, I will never want to live there. Buildings were broken down, dilapidated. Even when they fast forwarded 4 movies, they went back to Philadelphia to film. You know what happened? It's the exact same place,
That's a
Mhm.
tragedy.
more broken down. And they look, it's not just a black or a black thing. Mind you, Rocky was filmed when a majority of people around him were white.
Mm.
Okay, and they all lived in the same slummy area. Could you imagine what it might have been if you say it existed? The disparity between broke white people and more broke black people, and you all voted for the same people that put you in that position, and you thought that would make a difference every year, and here you are 4 movies later, basically 20 years after, nothing's changed. Look, I'm just saying, you have the option, Chicago, to get this man out of there by recall or some other way. Get him out. He is not helping. He is a panderer. He is a conniving, low down, disgusting human being, and he does not have the best interest of black people in Chicago at heart. He's no different than Mayor Lightfoot. He only happens to be a male version of that Beetlejuice looking female. That's the only difference. And he's leaving your city the same way she left it, like a graveyard. He might be dressed a little nicer. He can cut his beard. He can be a clean cut, well spoken Negro, just like Obama was, and he'll run Chicago straight into the ground like Obama did America. But if that's what you want, enjoy. But if it's not what you want, leave Chicago. If I had any if I had any advice, if you don't want to get him out, you get out. Get out while you can.
Get out the major cities in general, Chicago, LA, New York, all the major cities. If you can't, get the heck up out of there. But here's what I predict. I predict that we're going to hear some stuff about this mayor coming up here in the next few months to remove him, because I think a lot more people are going to come out and start voicing their opinion. And then the Democrats are going to swoop in and be like, oh, we can't have him thinking bad about Democrats. Let's find something on this man and get him out of office. And something will come up. And I think something will come up on a lot of people within the next few months. They're going to start pulling people out of office. They can't lose the vote based off a bad apple. So they're going to plant the bad apple. They're going to plant that seed to remove him and say, look, we're the victors. We got rid of him. Stay Democrat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come Monday, I'm sure Hamas will give us something to talk about come Monday. And I'm sure Chicago will give us something to come talk about come Monday. And I'm sure Joe Biden will give us something to talk about come Monday.
Well, Qatar's threatening to cut off oil, so maybe they'll do that.
I'm pretty sure that'll happen before too long anyway. I'm just glad I had some advice. Go buy some Iraqi dinar. Get some Iraqi dinar.
I still had some.
Yeah, and I have some, and I'm expecting the U.S. dollar to kind of level up with the Iraqi dinar, and I can make some money. I might have just enough to buy me a loaf of bread by the time it's all said and done. Never know.
Keep your eyes open.
Yeah, but we'll come Monday. We'll talk about some deeper stuff. We'll have a lot more to talk about, and the following Saturday, of course, will be our Rumble event. So do not miss that one.
Don't forget about the tomorrow. The solar
Saturday.
eclipse, just to say, there's the solar eclipse is the Ring of Fire. So everybody look up the Ring of Fire, and that's what it's called. And look up the significance of the Ring of Fire.
Yeah, and make sure you sing the song.
Yeah.
While you're doing it.
In the burning ring of fire.
And we don't mean Taco Bell with volcano sauce.
Not that ring.
not the Hillary hot sauce ring. Okay.
I keep hot sauce in my bag.
In my purse.
In my purse. And anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Share this live as much as possible. Please share it out, because that's the best way you can get us up to. Okay, here's our goal. We need you guys to start sharing videos until we get to 2K. We are very close to 2K. We're at 1570 or 1580 right now. Yep. We need to get to 2K. By the middle of next year, we should be somewhere in the region of 7 to 10K in subscribership.
Let's do
There
it.
should be no reason that we shouldn't be up there. So share this with all your commie friends if you have any. I don't mean that you have them, but definitely share this with your Patriot friends, because we need to get our word moving. If you have a Telegram, put it in the Telegram forums. If you have Instagram, put it on your Instagram page. Even if you just put a clip, something, and link them back to us. We could use the subscribership. We're going to start upping our advertising for the channel game here in the next couple of months. So you'll probably be seeing us in a whole lot more places than you can think of. So the store has some stuff for you too as well, and they're pretty good. Still, the white adjacent is still my favorite. That will perpetually be my favorite because it's such a subliminal but direct message. It's beautiful. So go check it out, get some merch, get some stuff, start advertising for us. You're our voice right now out there. We do it, you share it. So don't leave us in the dark. Do us proud. Do we have the hooch on Sunday?
Yes. We'll have the hooch on Sunday.
So don't forget the Hutchinsons on Sunday.
The hutch? Oh, the hooch.
The hooch.
The hooch.
Yeah, the hooch is on Sunday.
That's the OG, triple OG podcast.
What are you guys going to be talking about?
I
don't know.
We haven't discussed it yet.
Totally
well, we can actually talk about Activision Blizzard being acquired by Microsoft.
From
So
who?
they've now-
Oh, no.
Yeah, Microsoft got Activision Blizzard.
Oh,
so it's
goodbye.
big
Goodbye, good games.
I don't really play.
By StarCraft.
game. Yeah, and COD, Call of Duty is now.
That's
owned by
horrible.
Microsoft.
That's the worst news I've heard all day.
That's
Yeah.
that
You're
is. I'm
Wow.
We'll go into more of that later. And some other things.
That's horrible. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Coy,
I'm gonna have to go back to
decide.
Super Mario 3. I think. That's what I'm
I don't
gonna do.
decide the topics.
I'm gonna go back to Super Mario 3. Makes it
Yeah.
easier for me. Mr. Lee.
I have that.
So like, share, comment, subscribe, and we'll see y'all Monday.
Yeah,
All right.
Peace out.